and I want to welcome Dr. Woodley to the show. I hope I did justice to what it is that you're doing. Welcome to the show this morning, Dr. Katie Woodley.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It is my pleasure. We didn't get you up too early this morning, right?
No, I'm an early riser. You're good. So it's all good. It's good to be, getting your day started and going, especially to share information with pet parents across hopefully the world if they're watching this.
And I'm sure you'll touch on this, but if anybody wants to check out your website while they're watching along, this is a virtual program, so we can multitask. It's thenaturalpetdoctor.com, thenaturalpetdoctor.com. And you can ask questions in the Facebook thread. If Dr. Woodley cannot see them and respond to them, I can always bring them to her attention as well. But if you have questions after the program, her email is katie@thenaturalpetdoctor.com. I really fumbled that, so let me say that again. KATIE @thenaturalpetdoctor.com. So Dr. Woodley, again, thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the pandemic and how it's impacting our pets, and we'll continue to do so.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to share my screen because I've got a presentation for everyone. And let me get that up and running, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to step away for just a moment. So if you don't see me here, I am listening along, but I assume you've got it covered. You're the expert.
We sure do. Thank you. So thanks, Ethan. And thanks everyone for being here. So excited to share an important topic. So the pandemic has changed a lot in the world today, and anxiety. Your pet may have already had anxiety. So my goal today is to showcase what anxiety looks like for pets, give you some tools and tactics from a holistic perspective to help you navigate the weird times we're in, and then also when you go back to work. So I'm going to start with a case, and this is Harley, and he's one of my beautiful patients that I've been seeing for years, and he represents the true anxious patient. So he comes into the clinic barking. He acts like he's going to bite you, but he'll take tons of treats from you. And he thinks he's the biggest dog on the planet. And so maybe this resonates with a pet that you have at home where maybe they're a small dog. They've got the little dog syndrome where they think they're a big dog and they can take on the world. Or, maybe they're actually developing health problems from that anxiety because that anxiety hasn't been treated. So Harley's prone to GI upset. He gets diarrhea. He has other health conditions. And one of the things that changed his life is that we worked on his GI system and put the right bacteria's back into his gut health, and he calmed down tremendously. He's still got a big, huge personality, but he is a true example of what we can do when we start rebalancing the body and focus on why is the anxiety happening rather than just treating the symptoms. So once again, I am Dr. Katie Woodley. I am the natural pet doctor. I'm a holistic veterinarian. I've been a veterinarian for 10 years. And now my sole practice is based around integrating herbal medicine, acupuncture, and nutrition into our consultation plans. My mission is to create healthier pets and happier pet parents because those pets are living longer, vibrant lives through holistic medicine, regardless of your location. So I'm in the Northern Colorado region. However, I do phone consultations worldwide. So we're going to talk about what is stress, because some people, we've all probably felt stress and anxiety during this time, but we're going to talk about what is maybe your pet feeling and how are they expressing that? So that's the signs and those symptoms of stress. And then what are the holistic treatments that we can use for stress? So feel free to drop comments, questions in below. If I don't see them, what I'll do is I'll take those questions at the end and try to answer as much of them as I can during this time slot. So what is stress? I know when we feel stress, our heart rates go up. Maybe we get a dry mouth, we get sweaty palms. So stress is a physical response to something you feel threatened by. It's anxiety is an emotion that's triggered by stress. So you may feel apprehensive, nervous, or scared. It's an anticipation of future dangers from unknown or imagined origins that result from normal body reactions. So physiologic reactions associated with fear. Your pet may appear stressed for no apparent reason, or you may notice the stress in response to certain triggers. Stress is not necessarily a bad thing. So for us personally, we need to feel stress to push us out of our comfort zone and grow. However, over time, if we don't manage that stress appropriately, that's when we can see things manifest into a physical condition like diarrhea or other health problems. So what are some of the signs of stress that you may be noticing right now in your pet, or when you go back to work because the whole routine is going to change? So if you're noticing, especially dogs, this excessive yawning, so they're sitting there and you say something to them and they yawn, you're like, are you tired? No, they're actually probably stressed. Trembling, of course. So if they're shaking, they're withdrawing from you, they might be hiding in the closet during a thunderstorm. That's definitely a sign of stress. They might be trying to escape. Destructive or aggressive behavior. Who has been there with separation anxiety in your pet? This is the number one thing we're probably going to see rise when you go back to work once you're allowed to return back to work, especially with these dogs that have been really attached to you. Separation anxiety is going to increase. And so this is where they're destroying things at home. So they're destroying curtains, they're chewing up carpet, they're chewing through drywall, they're doing all sorts of crazy things. Sometimes dogs will chew their way out of cages, which can cause a lot of harm to their teeth. So there may be physical damage to themselves. The one big thing that I see that is not always related to stress, but diarrhea. So IBS in people is when people get really stressed and they can develop diarrhea. So that's actually a condition. And our dogs, especially, and I see this in cats too, sometimes we'll see these recurring bouts of diarrhea in either our dogs or our cats at home. And we're like, why isn't it going away? And we treat it and we use like metronidazole, we put them on probiotics, we change their food, they're on a bland diet, but it keeps coming back. And the reason why is that we're not diagnosing that underlying anxiety and fixing it. And so that's something to be aware of. If you're noticing like your pets are having chronic diarrhea issues and you've ruled out parasites and giardia and all sorts of other problems, this may be why that's happening. Your cats, especially urinating, defecating in the house, they're having litter tray issues. So your cat that pees on the carpet, that can be a stress response. Sores and lesions from over grooming. Your dog that sits there and just licks themselves to death, that can be anxiety. Loss or reduction of their appetite, so they start losing weight. That could be a number of things. So you want to make sure you get that checked out. And if your pets are crying all the time, they're just walking around meowing, or your dog is getting really like vocal and barking a lot at you, that can be a sign of stress. So why is this so important to recognize? So I mentioned it with the diarrhea, and this is so important for us too, especially during this time, because if we don't recognize their stress signs, what can happen is over time that can lead into chronic debilitating disease, that separation anxiety where they're starting to destroy your house, those GI issues where they're having chronic vomiting, diarrhea, and ultimately, so that leads to inflammation in the body, and that can ultimately down the path potentially lead to things like cancer or other chronic illness. The same goes for us. So this is why it's so important that we take care of ourselves during this time, recognize that we're stressed, and what are some of the self-care things that we're doing for ourselves to reduce that stress so that we don't develop these chronic illnesses also. So what are common causes of stress? So a big one's going to be coming up, right? When you go back to work, your pet's going to be so stressed out. Their whole environment has changed. So also, cats are really well known for this. So exposure to novel items. You change the furniture, you buy a new couch, the cat's stress starts peeing on your carpet, or new people, or new pets in the house, and your dog or your cat's not happy that they're there, they can become stressed. Or you move, that's a huge change in environment. Or environments, we're stressed. So our pets are so in tune with us that they pick up on our stress. And when we don't manage that, they're going to get stressed also. If they're separated from the human family members, or we lose a pet in the house that they were really connected with, that can be a huge issue too. Negative training methods like punishment, so yelling at your cat when they pee on the carpet, not a good idea. They're probably going to get worse and then continue to pee on the carpet. And then changes in routines. So this is the big one that we're looking at. So remember that we are going from, they had a change in routine with you staying home. Now we're transitioning back and they're used to that. So thunderstorms, fireworks. So here in Colorado, we're getting into thunderstorm season. So lots of dogs go and hide in the closet. That's a form of stress. Constant disruption. So having the kids at home, maybe they're wanting to play with the dog all the time, or they're irritating the cat from taking its, 15-hour nap during the day. Those are changes. And then the lack of the outlets to exercise, herd, run, retrieve, because some people can't get outside with their pets, and that can build up anxiety for especially those high energy breeds like border collies, and getting outside. And if you can't do that, your pet's going to get stressed. So right now, this is happening, right? We're stressed. Our pets can be stressed. Maybe they're happy now, but as Ethan mentioned, going into the new norm, we're going to change the routines again. So we need to know what we're watching for and how can we help them? That's why you're here probably. What can we do? We've recognized these signs of stress. Okay, Dr. Woodley, what do we do now? So how can you help them? You first need to assess your stress levels. A study from Nature in 2019 actually showcased that the cortisol levels, those are the stress hormones that are released, went up in our dogs when our stress levels were high. So that's huge. This is actually a scientific study that measured hair cortisol levels. And so if we're not managing our stress and taking care of ourselves, and our dogs, our cats are going to be affected. You need to provide your pets with a safe zone. This is so true for cats. Having a safe room that has a place to hide, litter trays, food and water so that they can feel safe if they need to get away. So that's really, really important. Dogs, if they're crate trained, making sure they have their crate in a quiet place where it's like a little safe den for them to go. That's really important. Spending more time together. Well, that's not a problem right now. So one of the things with the next step is being consistent with routines. So as we go back to our normal working routines, or what the new normal is for you, you can start getting your pets used to that routine again now and starting to separate yourself a little bit from that. Now, we don't want to create stress by doing that. So you can give them a treat or a toy that they love, get them to sit on their mat while they're away from you. Maybe they're used to sitting in your office, but now get them back to like where they would sleep during the day and give them that treat and allow that time for them to start adjusting, even with you at home, to that new routine before you go back. So that way we can hopefully avoid some of the separation anxiety. Exercise and playtime. So if you can't get outside to exercise them, use those treat puzzles. There's a lot of great ones that you can buy off of Amazon, going outside, throwing the ball for them, just engaging with them. If you can't go for a run or take them for a normal walk, if you can go for a short walk outside, those new sights and smells are going to be huge to help your pet, your dog, de-stress and get out some of that excess energy. And avoiding stressful situations. So that top picture of that dog, if you know your dog's like leash aggressive, making sure you're avoiding, people. Right now we're social distancing, so we should be doing that anyways. But if your pet's already stressed, avoiding those situations that are going to put more stress on them is really important. And the number one thing, when you notice any of these symptoms, you need to go to the veterinarian and rule out any underlying health conditions, because there's so many causes. They could be in pain. They could be having inflammatory bowel disease instead of anxiety. And if we don't address those issues, maybe they have a thyroid disease, we need to make sure that there's not something inside them that's sick that's causing these signs. So first off, feed an optimal diet. Nutrition is the foundation for health. I mentioned the microbiome for Harley at the very beginning. And this is so important for us too as people, is that if we are not feeding the good bacteria in our GI system, we're creating inflammation. So that's called leaky gut. And what happens is that toxins and bacteria and even food particles can seep through that intestinal tract lining, and it causes an inflammatory response in the body. And it makes your pet feel weird. It makes you feel weird. It can create other issues. It can create autoimmune disease, can lead to cancer down the road. So this is important. When we look at optimal diet, are we feeding cats a high carbohydrate diet when they should be getting a high protein diet? So canned food, are we transitioning them to dehydrated raw diets? There's a way to do that, and there's not enough time to touch on that. So definitely reach out if you need help with that. And in terms of your dogs, adding in vegetables. So slightly steamed greens, carrots, broccoli, green beans into their food at least 3 times a week if you're feeding a kibble-based diet will improve their health dramatically. Now, if your pet has any health problems, make sure you're working with your veterinarian to make sure that they're okay to have those foods. However, we need to really, really look at, is this food helping their health, or is it potentially hurting it and leading to more anxiety and stress? Some of the holistic remedies that we use are CBD. So I know I know at least one talk on this telethon about CBD, and that can be really important for anxiety. Calming sprays. What are some of the supplements that we can use? Essential oils. And then, of course, the one thing that I use all the time, herbal medicine, to help rebalance these pets and help calm that anxiety and treat the root cause of why that is happening. So CBD, just to quickly touch on it, it's a wild west out there. There are so many products. There's so many good products and there's so many bad products. So you want to look at things like, does this company have a certificate of analysis? So are they checking for bacterial contamination, fungal contamination? What are the terpene levels? Is this broad spectrum? Is there actually CBD in it? What's the concentration? How's it processed? Is it processed with chemicals? Are those chemicals still present? That'll be in the certificate of analysis. What's the concentration? What's the dose that you use? There's a dose range for different conditions. So a lot of people will get CBD, and what they do is they start it, but they start at a higher dose. And sometimes those higher dosages of CBD can actually lead to more anxiety. So make sure you're working with a veterinarian that can help guide you on those dosages. Is it organic? Do we want pesticides in our CBD? No, we don't, because that's more chemicals going into the body that can make your pet feel off, can affect their health, can raise their level of anxiety. Some of the brands that I recommend that are safe, Vet CS, RX Vitamins Hemp, Earth Buddy, those are just a couple out there that I've used, that I've had clients use, that I've looked at, that I feel comfortable using, and I know it's not going to hurt the pet. Now, if you're starting it for your dog or your cat, you want to make sure they're on any drugs. This can affect the metabolism of certain types of drugs. So this is why it's really important to make sure you're working with a veterinarian if your pet has an underlying health condition, and certainly if they're on medications. If your pet's healthy, you're just wanting to treat for anxiety, the CBD treats are usually lower in dosage. So that's a great way to try them on it. You might not see a difference. So that's why combining some of these things that we're going to talk about next all together in a multimodal effect can actually really reduce those stress levels for your pet. So we adopted recently 2 senior cats, and you can see Taz on the chair watching his crazy sister, Kiwi, on the top of the windowsill. And this was pretty much the first day after they had been in their safe room for 3 days to get used to things. And that's where she went. She's my high stress kitty. So we're using things like CBD with her, keeping things quiet. She has a safe room, but cats can be really, really stressed out. She also overgrooms. That's one of her things. And she throws up hairballs because of it. So those can be symptoms of stress, and we can miss those if we don't know what we're looking for. So keep an eye out for that in your cats. Keep an eye out for your dogs. Calming sprays. This has been huge to help these kitties adjust to our life. Feel Away. We have Adaptil for dogs. And what these are great is you plug them in. It's like a Glade plug-in, but it's not releasing toxins into your environment. So I don't recommend those. But these are pheromones that help calm your pets down. So when you see a cat rubbing against you, rubbing against furniture, they're actually releasing pheromones to help calm them down. We don't smell it, and they're super affordable. They're great to use in conjunction with CBD, some of the other supplements that we're going to talk about. So supplements, there is a huge supplement industry out there. There's really good ones, there's really bad ones. You can waste a lot of money on supplements. However, when we're looking at supplements, you can look for an NASC label. So that's a regulatory industry that companies can apply to be a part of, and it shows that they're doing things the right way. And there's companies out there that aren't labeled with NASC, however, and they're good. However, it's a great way if you're not sure, is this product great? Look for that NASC label. We want to look for supplements that contain B vitamins, L-theanine, melatonin, milk proteins. These have been shown to help reduce anxiety in pets. And so VetraScience is a great company that has a treat called Composure. Animal Essentials has a Tranquility blend that has different combination of some herbs in it that can help reduce anxiety in your pets. Western herbs, so those are things that we're looking at. Lavender teas, so calming teas, valerian, chamomile. These are things that you can brew a cup of tea and put the water, so that tea, in your dog's food. So it's a great way to calm down with your pets, have a cup of tea yourself, and put a cup of tea in your dog's water. If they're small, start with a quarter cup or a half a cup and see how they do. And then, of course, essential oils. So these are very powerful and they can work really well. And there's a lot of bad ones out there that just contain artificial fragrances. And this is typically why we see pets being harmed by essential oils, because they're not therapeutic grade, they're not high quality, and they're not organic. So remember, these come from plants. So super concentrated plant extracts. That's what essential oils are. And if they're being sprayed with pesticides, that is concentrated in that. And now you're potentially putting that on your pet or diffusing that around your pet and yourself. So some of the brands that I recommend, Dr. Melissa Shelton, Animal EO. She's been around for years and she is fantastic. And she has dog and cat essential oil blends that you can use. We're using Kitty Boost on our older kitty, Taz, to help calm him down. And you want to start them slowly and get them used to it. So start by just diffusing a drop in your diffuser, 1 drop essential oil, and see how your cats do, see how your dogs do in an open room that they can leave. You always want to be careful with cats because they metabolize things differently. They lack an enzyme in their liver that helps them process certain drugs and chemicals, so they're more sensitive. So you always want to be careful with them. Make sure you're using those therapeutic grade essential oils. Lavender, chamomile, once again, those are great, safe starting options that you can use. If you're combining them, 1 drop lavender, 1 drop chamomile, diffuse it, see how your pet does. But these are really, really good to combine with the previous supplements that we just recommended. So using the calming sprays, so the Adaptil for your dogs, your Feel Away for your cats, and utilizing them together. Now, the thing that I love and I use all the time, Chinese herbal medicine. So this, when I have a pet that I'm seeing and they're just super anxious, nothing is working for them. We've tried changes in environment. We've ruled out health conditions. They're on multiple supplements. You're diffusing Feel Away. You're diffusing these essential oils. We can add in Chinese herbal medicines to treat that anxiety. And it's amazing what it can do. However, this is not something as a pet parent you want to go out and find Chinese herbs and start using them. You need to work with a professional who is certified in this area, because this is individualized medicine, which is very different from conventional, where we're treating symptoms of a disease. And typically, if your pet has that disease, this is what they get. Whereas I see a pet that has anxiety. Is their GI system off? Maybe they have a heart problem. Or maybe there is truly an anxiety issue that we need to calm down some other area in the body. So those are big things to remember. So biggest thing, we can control so much of our pet's health. We can control so much of our health, which relates to our pet's health. So keep those in mind as we're transitioning into this new era, and keep those routines, start those new routines back up so your pets start adapting now and getting used to everything. That's key. Start diffusing the Feel Away, the Adaptil, start seeing how they respond to essential oils. And hopefully we can avoid separation anxiety and some of these other physical conditions. So you need more help. This is where you can find me. We have an amazing Healthy Paws membership. We have a weekly newsletter. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. Once again, check out our website, thenaturalpetdoctor.com. I would love to partner with you to help your pets thrive. So thank you so much for having me here. I tried to cram as much as I could in there to give you everything that I could impart with you today. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Katie. That was Dr. Katie